Yes, people, welcome back to another video. So, in this video, I want to talk about the PNP proposing that the government spend an extra $2.1 billion to the current budget that is in place. And yesterday was March 11th, and yesterday it was the budget debate in Jamaica. A lot of Jamaicans look past this budget debate that happens, you understand? And we should focus more on these budget debates because this determines how the government spend the money. You understand, that taxpayers give to the government. You understand? Because a lot of people always say, oh, we don't see what the government do with the money. The budget debate tells you what the government does with the money. You understand? And this proposal that the PNP have suggested, I disagree with it totally. I don't believe Jamaica need to spend an extra $21.5 billion that we don't have. So let me play the clip from CVM TV.
The People's National Party is proposing that the government add another 1% of GDP in expenditure for the upcoming fiscal year. The impact, $21.5 billion more. Opposition spokesman on finance Julian Robinson says the current budget is insufficient to bolster economic activities. It would mean that the government would have to relax the fiscal rules. The country's primary surplus balance, which is projected at 6.1%, is to help the government pay off its debt. Reducing it would mean a higher debt to GDP ratio. But the opposition spokesman argues that the impact of the pandemic requires an unprecedented approach.
I'm gonna stop the clip right there, people. You understand? So the PNP is proposing for us to spend an extra $21.5 billion, right? That will increase the Jamaican debt to GDP ratio. And if you guys don't know what debt to GDP ratio means, it means that the government is gonna spend more money than what they have. So it's basically your debt is higher than your earnings, pretty much. You can go on Google and get a more in-depth definition of the debt to GDP ratio concept. So I want to read something on Google that I saw on the International Monetary Fund website. And if you go to Google and type this in, you understand, it's called Jamaica debt to GDP ratio. Just type that into Google. The first thing that shows up: despite the severe COVID-19 shock, Jamaica public debt remains stable. Public debt has fallen from 114% of GDP in the fiscal year of 2016/2017 to 93% in fiscal year 2019-2020 as a result of a large primary surplus. So let me break that down for you, right? Jamaica, right, managed to not take on more debt during this pandemic, which is a major accomplishment for our nation. It's a major accomplishment for our nation. We did not spend more, right, than what we earn in this pandemic. And look at other countries around the world. Look at the United States of America, for example. America is going into debt, trying to bail themselves out of the pandemic. But look at Jamaica. Despite the pandemic, we did not take on more debt. We did not go to the IMF or the World Bank and borrow money. You understand? And this is without tourism, just to mention, this is without tourism coming into the country, giving us foreign exchange. Jamaica managed to keep its debt low because the Jamaican finances are being managed correctly. You understand? I agree with the budget that Nigel Clark proposed to the Jamaican people, and that's the budget that's in place right now. I agree with it. We should not spend more money than we have. You understand? Because that's what prevents Jamaica from growing economically, because we have such a high debt, right? We have to pay all of the money that we taxpayers give to the government, or whatever money we make from tourism or agriculture or bauxite. We have to put that money into paying down the debt, the national debt. You understand? The more this debt to GDP ratio declines, the more money the Jamaican government will have to spend on social programs, the more money the Jamaican government will have to build roads, the more money that we'll have to fight crime. You understand? And for the PNP to propose a $21.5 billion increase to the Jamaican budget, that's appalling to me. You understand? I am disappointed by it, but guess what? This is politics. The PNP is playing politics, because during the budget debate, Julian Robertson come out and says, so people are hungry. 400 Jamaicans food insecure, says Robinson, right? And he goes on to say, opposition spokesman on finance Julian Robertson has highlighted that some 400,000 Jamaican are food challenged in a situation made worse by COVID-19 pandemic. Okay, it's not something new that Jamaica have people that have food insecurity. It's nothing new. This was under the PNP led administration before. You understand? What did the PNP do during their term in office? Their 18 years in office. What did they do? Jamaica went into debt. A ton of debt. The PNP is mostly responsible for Jamaica debt to GDP ratio being up to 130% of GDP at one point. You understand? This is during their administration. And did they take money and spend on insecure Jamaicans? I mean, food insecure Jamaicans. Did they spend money on those people? No, they did not. You understand? You see money get lost here, money get lost there because of corruption. I am happy with the budget that's in place right now. You understand? If you go into the loop, there's an article there that says Jamaica opens fiscal year with cash reserve of $90 billion. Right? That's a sign of a healthy economy. That's a sign of an economy that's going to grow. When an economy has cash reserves, right, it tells investors that the country can withstand shocks, right? It tells investors that the country financial situation is stable, and this will help boost the economy. You understand? And the more money that we have in reserve help us pay down our debt. It helps to lower our debt to GDP ratio. So which means that the government is going to have more money in its pocket to help fight crime, to help provide social programs. You understand? In the long run, it might not be right now, but in the long run, that will happen. You understand? So Julian Robertson, I'm gonna go on and play the rest of this clip.
If you look around the world at countries who are responding to this crisis, many of them are running deficits, many of them are running not surpluses, Madam Speaker, and they're doing this not because they want to be irresponsible, but because of the scale and severity of the crisis, there's a requirement to do more to support the most vulnerable in the society.
So you hear what I'm saying, right? If you look around the world, right, you have governments around the world are running deficits instead of surpluses, right, to help the most vulnerable in society. This is my thing about Jamaican politicians, right? Jamaican politicians don't think on their feet. You understand? They look at other countries and follow. You understand? Whatever America do, whatever England do, whatever Canada do, Jamaica want to do. It's not because Jamaica can spend the money we should spend the money. It's not because of that. Because even in America, right, there is a big debate on whether the government should spend $1.9 trillion in stimulus, right? Because a lot of people are worried about the effects of $1.9 trillion in the long run, because that would lead to more inflation in the long run, right? Which means that more things will get more expensive in America in the long run. There is a hidden tax called inflation whenever the government prints money, right, or borrows money. It's a hidden tax. Julian Robertson is basically proposing a bad policy for Jamaica economy right now. I don't know how come he's finance minister, opposition spokesman on finance. This to me is appalling. You understand? I strongly believe that with Jamaica's situation, we need to spend less. Yes, and I'm very happy that Jamaica spent less during this pandemic than more during this pandemic, right? I'm gonna tell you, he might talk about looking at other countries, right? Each country have, right, a specific circumstances, right? Each country has their circumstances where they need to make policies based on what they are facing, right? Jamaica is in a different situation. Jamaica is in a situation where they have more debt than money that they are earning, right? They have more than what they are earning, more debt than what they are earning, right? And Jamaica is in a situation where you cannot borrow no more money, because the more money Jamaica borrow, the less credible Jamaica becomes, right? The less likely that in the future countries lend Jamaica money like the IMF or the World Bank, because if Jamaica borrow more money and their debt to GDP ratio increases past 100%, right, lenders start looking at Jamaica and saying, you know, this country is risky, I'm not going to lend money to this country. So it's less likely for Jamaicans to even get a loan in the future if we increase our debt to GDP ratio past 100%. And what I was reading earlier, where the IMF said that Jamaica debt to GDP ratio fell to 93.5%, right? Since it's not above 100%, lenders start looking at Jamaica and say, you know what, they have credit, they are credible, we can lend them money. You understand? It's more likely for them to lend Jamaica money, not because Jamaica can borrow money, we should borrow money. Have you ever heard of a credit score in America? If you look at a credit score in America, right? They give you a credit card, for example, and you have a certain percentage you can spend on that credit card before lenders start looking at you as being risky, right? That's how credit works. And you know, when Jamaica go past 100%, lenders start looking at Jamaica as being more risky. So it's a good thing that Jamaica debt to GDP ratio is below 100%. It's a good thing, and I hope that the government continues on this path of fiscal responsibility. You understand? By making sure that we have a surplus on each budget. Because the more surpluses that we have in our budgets, the more Jamaica economy is going to grow, the healthier the Jamaican economy is going to be. You understand? People, let me know what you think about what I just said in the comment box below, and let's have a discussion about this, because we need to start talking about these budget debates more often in Jamaica. We need to. You understand? Jamaicans look past these budget debates, and at the end of the day we wonder what the government are do with our money. We need to have a more vocal discussion about these budget debates. You understand? Because you see, these budget debates too, it tell you how much money the MP them spend in a year community. You understand? And a lot of times these MPs take the money and do whatever they want with the money, and spend the money upon the community. These budget debates will hold those MPs accountable for the monies that they are spending. You understand? Because more Jamaicans are going to pay attention. More Jamaicans will say, well, where does the money go? Where money go? You understand? But I'll get into more details on this in a future video. You understand? About how MPs spend the money in the communities. You understand? Because there's a lot of corruption there, and a lot of money get placed where it should not place. We need to start following the money so we can hold these MPs account for what they are doing with the money. But anyway, like this video, share this video, subscribe to the channel, people, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.